everybody.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to TFT, Tarot for Today, Divine Dabblings with
Operon.
me, Banshee.
And this is
the Unhappy Hour Show.
That's right.
So we do this every fourth quarter moon where we deal with those issues in our lives that are kind of bringing us down, making us frown. And we're here to help you turn that frown upside down.
Hopefully.
And maybe the world too. Hey, we think big.
Right, because the reading is for the elemental signs of the Zodiac, but then we throw in an extra one for the world at large, and we try to see if we can tell from that sort of collective point of view what's bugging the world.
Good luck there.
So it's
okay.
our form of therapy with the tarot cards.
We always challenge ourselves. All right. As should you. So let's get started here, shall we?
Air signs.
With the air signs, let's find out where it hurts for you during this fourth quarter moon.
Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius.
There you go. Thanks for filling in that gap for me, Mr. O. That makes me very happy.
If it looks like we're sort of chilled, it's not just because it's the Unhappy Hour, but because it is a little chilly over here in southeast Michigan.
Bitter chilly.
Bigger chill.
bitter chilly.
Bitter chill. Well, there's that movie, The Big Chill, so I thought maybe this is the new movie, The Bigger Chill.
Shuffle away, Mr. O, and let's do this.
Alrighty.
All right, so air signs, where are you feeling unhappy? What is or will be making you unhappy? Let's take a look. Well, and did we mention that all the cards in the show are read in reverse? Okay, so it's the Seven of Pentacles reverse, Mr. O. Well, air signs, you're kind of feeling sad because maybe something you've put a lot of time, effort, and energy into, you realize is not growing the way you thought it would. It's not producing results for you. And so maybe it's time to move on, or maybe you're just going to have to get back to work harder on it. Either way, that's not making you very happy.
You know what I get out of this? I sort of feel like somebody is pushing you out of your comfort zone and making you do something, take an action or a path that you don't feel comfortable doing. And it's making you feel sad. And of course, it may be because you said or indicated you were going to do something, and then it seems like you let it kind of fall apart. And so perhaps rightfully they're saying, hey, don't you want to fix that? But it makes you feel uncomfortable, sad.
Well, we're going to go on different tangents here for this one, but because I'm going to stick with what I said. Why?
And I like what you said.
I like what you said too. That's why I said we're going on different tangents.
That's right.
I'm happy. Are you happy?
I'm so happy.
Okay, so how are the air signs dealing with this unhappiness? Well, a bit aggressively.
Indeed. Yes, it's strength reversed.
So, you're pretty angry about this. You got to be careful here because, you could do more harm with that anger than good. I mean, you have to apply it. I mean, if you're going back to work on what didn't come through for you, then you have to apply that aggressive energy carefully. You don't want to destroy what you've already created, or tried to create. Or if you're moving on, you got to move on, don't move on too aggressively. Make sure you're thinking through what your next plan is going to be. Make sure you're thinking through what you want to grow next. Don't just go angry.
In the possibility that I mentioned, I could see this card playing kind of in the same way. Somebody making you feel uncomfortable and therefore sad causes you to maybe overreact by trying to make them back down too. They're trying to make you step up, so you're trying to make them back down with the kind of sense of, hey, you'll be sorry.
So why are your feelings justified? Well, because you really maybe because now you see the light. Now you see, that maybe your power could be used better elsewhere. However, it still doesn't make you happy. It's just that you feel you are justified in being angry because kind of like you got to start all over again. And you maybe got to force yourself to do some things that you really didn't think you were capable of.
Maybe, this is sort of like, in a weird way, a form of Stockholm syndrome, and you liked sort of, being in your comfort zone and not being forced to do anything. And so you're angry because you feel like somebody has sort of pushed you out. And it sort of is just the same thing as the first card in a way, that maybe, you feel your feelings are justified because you weren't ready to give up the comfort of your illusion or just the idea that you didn't want to, really progress in this manner.
Well, boy, didn't I wish that came up as the last card, though. It might have
I know, it's kind of interesting.
Different tale here. But so before we recap, and I go back into that card a little bit more, how do we turn that frown upside down, air signs? Oh.
Or do we? Well, it's the Three of Cups reversed.
I think it might fit Mr. O's a little bit better than mine because but maybe not. I think here you have to rely on yourself. You have to rely on yourself to turn that frown upside down. Don't think others are going to bail you out and come to your rescue or help you through this project or goal that did not, happen for you. You're going to have to fix it yourself.
Well, no matter if it's what Banshee says or if it's somebody making you, cough up the goods that you promised or pushing you out of your comfort zone, it's exactly what Banshee has said. This really does sound to me like you can't necessarily rely on others here. You're just going to have to accept what happened. And so in that sense, you're only doing that by accepting what you have to do and just getting busy, apparently.
Yeah.
So let's recap.
Okay.
Briefly.
Well, so what is making you air signs unhappy? It's a project or goal or something that you either have to get back to work harder on or abandon it completely. Maybe you have to change your strategy or how you're building this foundation for this. But it's going to require a lot more work and it's not making you happy.
Maybe somebody makes you feel uncomfortable because they're actually expecting you to do something you said you were going to do.
So how are you dealing with it? Well, you could be aggressive and pushy with others if other people have been involved in this project, which is maybe what I'm thinking here. And maybe you're pushing yourself too hard as well. And that's part of the problem here too. You're putting a lot of pressure on yourself. And so because now you realize, hey, I either have to get back to the drawing board here or back to work hard on this, or I have to let it go.
Hey, I know air signs. Air signs got game. So I'm thinking air signs, if you felt somebody told you to step up, maybe you're just going to try to make them back down on that.
So why are your feelings justified? Well, I think they're this one was a hard one for me in my scenario, but I kind of think your feelings are justified because you want to be able to unleash whatever this was. I think you would have felt very empowered if you had been able to finish this project and goal. And now you feel like that's not going to happen right away. Maybe you wanted to prove something to someone. Maybe you wanted to prove your skills and talents. And now, you got to get back to the drawing board.
Well, maybe your feelings are justified also because somebody pulled you out of that comfort zone and made you face an illusion, and you didn't really want to do that.
So how do you air signs turn that frown upside down? By getting back to work and realizing here you're on your own. You just got to do this yourself, because the less people that are meddling, interfering, or distracting you, the better.
On this we can agree.
Yeah. All right.
All right, so we are going to move on to the fire signs.
Let's shuffle first. That's Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius.
Alrighty.
I was almost going to put my hood on. It's so cold.
And it's actually going to get colder in the next day or so.
Indeed.
Supposedly, for those who follow the weather.
Oh, indeed.
You said maybe.
No, I said indeed.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It sounded like you said maybe.
Oh, no, there's no maybe. It's just, baby, it's going to be cold outside. And it is already. Oh, my goodness. So we got a few more days of this, a couple more days, and then it starts to balance out a little bit. It's still going to be pretty darn cold, but it won't be below zero stuff. All right. All right, fire signs, give us some of your warmth here. What is making you sad? What is hurting? Where does it hurt, fire signs?
So, card 1, what is or will be making you unhappy right now?
Ooh, that's a very unhappy thing for the fire signs. Well,
it's the reverse Knight of Wands.
Sad. What do you have to say?
Well, maybe you feel like, you've been spinning your wheels, you've been moving towards something that has somehow turned fruitless in a way, or you feel like you didn't really apply the right amount of energy or resources towards it, and that was a miscalculation on your part. Maybe you thought you should have been more aggressive, or maybe you wondered if you were over-aggressive.
Well, something for sure has popped that enthusiasm balloon of yours. I think here, this night is kind of stalling. This night has been delayed. This night is unable to move. And you're feeling that, fire signs. You want to move forward with something, whether it's a project or goal, or you want to move on in your career. Maybe you were hoping for some sort of promotion. Maybe you were hoping to attain some job that would take you places. And instead, you're stuck. It didn't come through.
So how will you be dealing with this then?
Ooh.
And it's more wand energy reversed. It's the reversed Ace of Wands.
Well, that sure tells the tale, doesn't it? You're not dealing with this well. You almost want to, you want to abandon either this project or goal, or you're just not willing to initiate anything now. It's kind of stymied you in a way. You just don't feel like you want to make a move at this time because you felt so blocked.
You may be pulling back. You may be thinking of ways to just keep delaying it, or somehow putting, other things aside for it. But you're not dealing with it well, because nothing here will progress the matter good in any way.
Well, and you need to be behind what you need. You need to be behind what you're trying to do, and you're not anymore. So clearly you're not dealing with it well. You might be wanting to abandon it. Maybe, for example, if you're a student and you were, going towards a course of study, you're realizing now you don't feel like you're up to that challenge anymore, or that you can't handle it, and you have to shift gears. Well, why are your feelings justified?
And it's the reversed Ace of Pentacles now.
Yeah, because something you were hoping to grow or grow from is not materializing. It's noteworthy here. not only that you have that Knight of Wands, which is usually the coming or going of a matter connected with a business or venture of some sort, you also have the two aces that are in the material or business world, right?
So a lot of this is predicated on what you were really hoping to achieve, even if you may find reflection that you weren't good enough or things weren't working in your favor. There still is really a sense that you thought something good was beginning and now it's not, and that makes you feel like, it's worthless. Your feelings feel justified because you feel enough went into it that it should have happened.
You felt this would be something that would be the beginning of better financial times for you,
Yeah.
a period of growth and development in your career or in your studies, and it's just not happening. And so, how in the world can you turn this frown upside down?
That's the Hermit, right?
Yep.
And it's the reversed Hermit.
Well, it'd be easy for me to just say, learn from this. Maybe you need to learn from this and take those lessons out into the world and don't give up on yourself. I think here, the Hermit is saying, the whole reading is saying you're stuck. You don't want to initiate anything. You don't want to move forward. But that Hermit is saying that is your answer. You need to get back out in the world. You need to get back out into the mix here and try to find your place.
So the clue with the Hermit was that maybe all of this other stuff was very much your internal dialogue or feelings about the matter, and probably all along it was a go it alone kind of attitude. There's sort of solitariness about that combination there. You didn't share enough with what you might have needed to share or with who you need to share. It might not have been necessarily every single aspect here, but there were probably things that you should have came out into the open on. And so maybe doing that now, or in retrospect doing it now, is really, your best strategy to make you feel better about this.
I have another little spin I'm going to throw on my interpretation of that as we recap. I just thought of something I wanted to say. I'll probably forget it by the time I get there. But, all right, so I feel there's some project goal or business venture or career move or studies move you were trying to make, and it's really, really sputtering. There may be delays, there's disappointment, there's disappointing news. Maybe students aren't getting the grades they want, you didn't get the job or promotion you had hoped for, stuck. And so, how are you dealing with it?
The second card, how are you dealing with it? Well, you're dissatisfied because it just feels like you could either abandon it or you could just keep making, ways to put off the inevitable, whether it, succeeds or not eventually.
Well, you're disappointed. You're struggling. You really don't want to move anything forward at this time. You feel like maybe adrift. It could be making you feel adrift right now rather than rooted into the ground. And that leads into our next card, doesn't it? Why are our feelings justified? Because you feel you lost out on either a money-making opportunity or some growthful experience, a growthful career path, or a growthful new job opportunity, and you've missed out.
You expected something to give you profit in some way, even if it was just really a feeling of growth that you knew would eventually work out. You realized that it wasn't, and so this is very disappointing.
So, fire signs, how are your how will things, how do you turn this upside down? It's basically, I had a different thought about the Hermit as I was going to go back and recap. And I think here what the Hermit is saying, oftentimes, you go into a cave or you try to just withdraw because you're trying to avoid something. And I think here, that's it. You're trying, now that you've had this disappointment and this perceived loss, and you're feeling that nothing's left in your stuck. You're trying to avoid moving forward. The only way you're going to turn that frown upside down is to get back out there and try again.
That's brilliant. I don't think I would say it the same way, but I did feel like it did expect the idea that some of this needed to kind of come out more into the open rather than you shouldering it all for yourself. That doesn't necessarily equate with what you said, but
no, that's okay.
But that's how I felt about it.
Okay.
All right. So that was it for the fire signs then.
And I think you're shuffling there.
No, I did the last one.
That's right. I am doing the water
signs. Water signs are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces.
Wah, wah, wah. All right. Let's just dive right in, water signs, eh? Find out what's making you hurt. All right. So, if you like the show, do hit the like button. We appreciate that tremendously.
We're on a rush to get to our 800th YouTube subscriber and beyond, and so we appreciate any growth we can get at this point. It's literally just a few ticks away.
Just a few. All right.
All right. Water signs.
Where does it hurt?
Where does it hurt? What will be making you unhappy?
Oh, well, things could be worse. It's the sun reversed. And I say that because the sun is really not a horribly bad card. So I have to ask you, water signs, this. Are you, how should I say this? Are you overthinking something? Are you blowing something a little bit out of proportion? Maybe things aren't as bad as they seem, but you might have had a little bit of a downturn or a little bit of a setback. But I have this feeling that you might be blowing it up to something bigger.
Okay, I can go with that. I wasn't going to originally. I thought, what is she saying there? Because I do agree in general, but I thought in context to what the reading is about, maybe this does signify something. So this could indicate that something is not exactly as perfect as you thought it could be, but you could accept it.
It could be big business success. It could be your health. It could be a number of things, right?
So is it the idea maybe that you are letting minor things bother you?
Well, let's see. So, how are you dealing with it, water signs? Oh my gosh, it's a repeat card.
I see.
It's a Knight of Wands,
it's
reversed,
the Knight of Wands,
of course.
Reversed again.
Well, okay, but this is how you're dealing with these supposed big, disappointments, which we question here. You just don't, you're feeling very unenthusiastic. You're feeling very non-motivated. So maybe, in a sense, that's why you're trying to blow these problems out of proportion, because you're just not feeling motivated to move forward or do anything at this time.
There's a sense of being reckless and just saying, I'm just going to move away from this as quickly as possible, because nights are movements, and so this is maybe saying, if I just sort of forget it happened, I mean, that's even a form of movement too, is just saying mentally, I don't remember that. You hear it a lot from me, probably. But and that way, too, you're avoiding the responsibility or the non-responsibility of the magnitude of that or the non-magnitude of that. Yeah, I know it's getting a little convoluted here.
Well, I think it's interesting.
It
so why are these feelings, why do you feel these feelings are justified? And it's the Queen of Pentacles. This all fits into what I was thinking here, because it does. The Queen of Pentacles reversed. You feel justified because you need to take care of you feel like you need more downtime. You feel like you need to take care of yourself. You're feeling very non-productive at this time. I think it was evident with that Knight of Wands, unenthusiastic, unmotivated, and now this is just like kind of lethargic, a lethargy. And maybe you're under the weather. Maybe you are suffering a little bit of ill health and you just want more time to recover.
Yes, in context here, the Queen of Pentacles is absolutely saying that your feelings are justified because you sort of feel like it's really been a bother and you just sort of want it to be over. You feel like you're locked into dealing with this and you just feel like, it's why would anyone, try to stop you from what you're doing? You're blowing it out of proportion again.
Water signs, you're letting your emotions get the better of you here. No surprise. So
what are we going to do?
What are you going to do to turn that frown upside down? Wow.
3 of Wands reversed.
What do you think?
Well, you may have to just realize that it isn't something you can work out right now. Maybe there is more here than you think, and that maybe it is going to take longer. It's not just a quick change, an opportunity to just move you along. That maybe you really have to explore this a little more. It's not like therapy necessarily, but maybe you do need to take care of yourself in some respect more and come to a different understanding, I think.
Well, so how to turn that frown upside down in this case might be a little complicated. I think here you have to rethink your strategy, number one. For example, maybe instead of overblowing situations that shouldn't make you feel the way you do, you should just be upfront and you should just rethink your strategy of how you're doing this. Just admit you need a break. Just admit right now you're not interested in taking on more tasks and assignments, anything that's new and out of the box or ordinary. You're just not ready. You're just not motivated. You just don't have the energy right now. I think you just have to kind of be truthful about it, frankly, and not play games, because maybe other people are looking at your complaints and thinking, they think they have it bad, and think you're just blowing things out of proportion.
Well, water signs are more emotional, and this reading was a little bit more complicated even for me to understand.
Well, you might just feel different about it. Why don't you go and recap?
Okay, so in the first card, what is it that's making us unhappy? It just seems like I can agree with that there's something that didn't measure up, but is it really that bad?
Yeah. And it could have to do either with health concerns, business, something in your life that you should be getting happiness from, but, it's not that happy. Maybe not as you expected, but it's just not that bad either. When the sun is reversed, it doesn't mean it's totally bad. And so for it to come up like that in happy hour in this position, I have to say, I think you're making mountains out of molehills here.
I'm going to agree with that.
And so
card 2.
What is, or how are you dealing with it?
Well, and I thought that maybe the Knight of Wands wants to move away and not really spend a lot of time there. Maybe just sort of want to negate it or sort of feel like that it wasn't worth moving towards, so let's move away.
So recklessly abandoning what you need to do to make things better. I look at this card as being a lack of motivation and enthusiasm. These knights have what?
That applies.
Yeah. They're driven. They are enthusiastic and they like to move forward. And that card is reversed. So basically you're putting the brakes on. You're just feeling like, I can't do anything right now. I am not up for it. But you really could be. I think you're making excuses. So I don't think you're dealing with it well. And so, but why do you feel your problems are justified or your unhappiness?
Well, it seems like you could just say you you don't really feel that this helps you produce in any way, that you feel like it taps away at your creative or productive energies. It interferes with maybe plans to do things, and so you're justified because you feel like it's just kind of thrown sort of a stop into things.
I think you feel your feelings are justified because you have no energy right now. You feel depleted, you want time off, and you're thinking if you can make things look really, really bad, it's like the dog ate my homework sort of situation, that you'll get off the hook from your responsibilities.
Ooh.
And so ultimately, how do you turn that frown upside down? Well, with the Three of Wands, you're ready to rethink what you're doing here. Just be open and upfront with everybody. People will respect you more for that. And change your strategy about how maybe you do need time off. Clearly, if you're blowing things up like that, maybe you do. But the bottom line is, don't be,
Well, maybe you turn the frown upside down by just sort of saying, this was really not my best opportunity to pursue, and maybe I shouldn't have done it to begin with. Admitting that maybe, you really shouldn't have done it to begin with.
You know what? Saying you're not ready for something, saying you're not ready for some new assignment or task or whatever because, you're not prepared, or you feel you need more training, or you just have too much to do. Maybe it's better to admit that than take on something that you don't want, or make excuses as to why you can't do it. All right.
All right, water signs.
My goodness, that took a while.
Got some work to do.
That was an interesting reading. Let's move on to Earth, which is Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. All right.
I think I'm first. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Yes. You're right. You're going to make me shuffle first for the world?
Well, we can flip a coin for that.
No, I'll shuffle.
Let's just do a puppy pile there and pull them out.
I'd rather you do the cut for the world.
That's kind of a cutting remark.
Ooh.
Oh.
All right. What's going on and getting under the skin of our Earth signs?
Later this week, we promise we're going to finish our world predictions for 2025.
I know. Promises, promises.
Hey, we're busy.
We are busy.
And it's cold outside.
And it's so cold, I just feel like hibernating like a bear. All right. Here we go, our signs. What is or will be making you unhappy? No.
King of Cups.
Oh, is it the King?
Yes.
I don't know why I thought it was the 9, but it's the King.
Nope, it's the King.
See it. All right, King of Cups. My goodness, reversed. Speaking of emotional, you're very unhappy. You're emotionally kind of unhappy, depressed. Maybe you're acting out a little bit. I sometimes look at this King as kind of being a drama queen a little bit, just getting overly emotional. But something is making you feel that way. It may be justified. We're going to see. You're very unhappy right now.
Well, sometimes if the King of Cups could actually be a person or personality, it sort of reads as somebody who maybe is a little bit inclined to be mean or cruel, to be short with people, smart. And, this could be saying that if you are dealing with a person like that, maybe that makes you feel unhappy. But if you're also recognizing these qualities in yourself, that you don't seem to have patience or time and everybody's annoying you in some ways and you're getting snippy, realizing that would also make you feel unhappy too, that you're just, losing it.
Well, I kind of like some of what you said there. I think, with the King as a personality reversed, that could be somebody it could be you or somebody in your life that's making you unhappy, but also they're maybe closing their heart off to you. They're very cold at a time when you need some sympathy or support from them, or some love, or some signs that they love you or you love them. Some heart is being closed.
So it sort of sounds like somebody that you really needed, to be close with for some reason, just is sort of holding you back.
We're not going to rule out any of the above yet until let's see what's going on.
That's a very interesting observation. How are you dealing with this then?
Oh, Two of Swords. Oh, well.
That's the Two of Swords. Oh dear, you may have already decided that you need to do something.
Yeah, you did. And so that's, in a way, that's positive because, well, hopefully. I think you're dealing with this at least by taking some sort of action, making a move, or making a decision. Hopefully you're doing that with some careful thought. Oftentimes, I've seen different interpretations of the Two of Swords reversed, but my personal feeling is that this is more positive than not, that you've taken the time to really think things over, and now you're seeing things as they are or how you feel you need to, and you're ready to move on it.
The blindfold is off because it's reversed, and there's a sense here of having found information, that you can make a decision because you feel you understand what's really, important here.
So I like that.
Well, why are your feelings justified?
Because something died.
Something died.
Something died. Death reversed.
Or it has such severe inertia, it's not likely it can ever turn around again. It may just keep going in its own strange orbit.
Well, a relationship, a partnership, maybe somebody actually died. I can't rule that out. But because you're very, very sad. What was the middle card again?
The Two of Swords?
Yeah, the Two of Swords. And so, this might be, it could be that, but I'm just going to say it could be a relationship that's, you feel is coming to an end or whatever because of somebody closing off their heart, whether it's you or them.
Yeah, I can't say any more to that. I mean, it really feels like there's no productivity at all in terms of your feelings here.
Yeah. And so how do we turn that frown upside down, though, for you, Earth signs? Whoa.
It's the moon reversed.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, it seems to me like part of the problem was you didn't, you waited to move until you knew more, which was a good thing, but it seems to me like maybe now in the aftermath there may still be more to find out, and maybe what you find out is not necessarily pleasant, but it may help you move through this.
Well, I know this is the last card, but I don't know if it has to be sequentially the last statement. And so what I want to say is it really does, like he said, tie into that Two of Swords there a lot. And I feel here that maybe how you turn that frown upside down is coming to terms with the truth of the matter here. And I think you came to terms with the truth of the matter, and that made you decide on the move or decision that you made. I kind of feel here a little bit, there's some bad stuff that has went on for you, certainly, Earth signs, but you're coming out of this okay. You're coming out of this maybe with more knowledge. You're coming out of this smarter, and you maybe have used some of the knowledge you gained in order to make the right move and decision forward from what maybe was a sad or toxic situation.
Well, Earth signs feel they were mistreated somehow or treated poorly, but realized that they had no choice but to wait until, they could actually understand what they needed to do to move ahead. And so that's how they dealt with it, was maybe a waiting game until the moment was right. But then, their feelings are justified in this sense because they realize they're the only ones that are going to make movement. Nothing else is going to move. Everything else is stagnant there. And in the end result, figuring out what really happened and why it happened will make you understand and feel better. Turn your frown upside down.
So their feelings were justified because this relationship or issue was going nowhere. It was just done. And so that's why their feelings were justified, that they had to make this move and do what they did. They acted upon it. Now, oftentimes in some of our unhappy hour readings, we see that people don't do what they need to do. They make it worse, is what we find
no
here.
No guarantees.
But I'm not seeing that in this reading. I think you're making earth signs the moves you need to make under the circumstances and from what you've learned
Earth
and been able to discern. I did say earth signs,
I hope
right?
you get some resonance here, earth signs.
Good luck.
Because I think this was a pretty important reading for you.
Yeah.
All right, so that was the elemental signs of the zodiac. All of you, all 12 of you.
Now, we're hitting the
rock
world.
bottom.
We're going to see what's hurting.
Make the world go away.
What's hurting the world right now? And how we can maybe work together to make things better.
Exactly. And there can't be one reading that pinpoints everything, that's bugging the world right now. This will be an attempt to maybe see what is the most problematic thing, gestaltish kind of feeling idea that's going on in the collective.
It's an interesting exercise doing this reading, so let's see what happens.
We like doing it, and it's always enjoyable when we find out that people who like our reading for them, at our regular shows, also really like our predictions that we do. The ones we do at the beginning of the year, the ones we do occasionally at other points of the year. I love the feedback, so
we love feedback.
Don't be afraid to tell us what you think. All right, world. What is it will be making you unhappy?
Oh.
Ooh.
Oh my goodness.
Well.
Wow.
Ooh, that's a real loaded weapon there, eh?
Well, this is inauguration day and fourth quarter moon is tomorrow. It looks as though a bad start or a very negative start to something here is making the world unhappy. Now, I know I brought up the inauguration, but it could be something else. It could be something that just falls through. I hope it's not the Israeli-Gaza deal again, because hostages and movement has now started to happen, and I think a ceasefire has taken hold. Perhaps, too, this may have to do with the TikTok thing that's going on in the U.S., that also affects China. There's just something here that's off to a bad start.
I'm going to go even broader, because when it flipped over and I thought, one's our fire energy, and then I thought, nuclear fire.
Oh, no.
And my thought is that the world is unhappy because they feel that the progress that was made towards nuclear containment or climate control or things like that has now been stalled, or doesn't show the promise of moving all the way through.
Well, it's actually accelerating is the problem. So, yeah. All right. So that's your spiel. Okay. So
how are we
dealing with this unhappiness? Well, we're off to a bad beginning, as I've said. It could be the inauguration. It could be the peace deal. It could be It could be other issues that are going on in the world right now. The Gaza thing, like I said. We're making bad choices. That's the Lovers reversed, as Mr. O has said. And we're making some really bad choices. That's how we're dealing with it. Maybe people are feeling, oh, this is not going to go well. Right?
I just don't like to put it there without saying what it is.
That's quite all right. We can move on.
So I just wanted to say that. So how are we dealing with it? Well, maybe we're giving into some bad impulses. Maybe we're making choices that feel good but aren't really good. And, some of this could be, with some people, literally people around the world, end times kind of thinking.
Right, that's your nuclear thing, right?
What's it matter anyway?
Ooh.
And so people
it's
are
the end
making
of the
bad
world
choices.
as we know it. And why are our feelings justified? The cup does runneth over, the cup empties out, because we feel empty. You know, this is all making us feel empty and emotionally shut off. It's hard to have an open heart in some of the cruel talk and how should I say this? Just hostile behavior towards one another that is going on, and that has even been exhibited by some of the people who are now assuming power in the U.S.
I don't know if this is continuing my line of thinking about, nuclear safety in the world, but what I feel our feelings are justified is because we felt that maybe we were reaching a movement of peace and love or equality. We were moving towards this happening or beginning, and now we don't see that. We see things halting it or stopping
Yeah, that
it.
fits perfectly with here. And so why, how in the world do you turn that frown upside down? Oh my gosh.
Our friend, the Two of Swords.
By taking decisive actions against what's wrong.
Right. The Two of Swords reversed acts like somehow we've suddenly decided we've got to get moving, and whatever happened that did that, we realized something that maybe made it come through. We received information, but we now feel we are ready to make a move, to make a decision, to choose a path.
So, let's recap this. And so I really feel my heart of hearts has got to be about the U.S. inauguration, because it impacts so many areas of the world right now, and the world is watching. The world is watching all of this pensively to see what relations with the U.S. is going to look like going forward. And it doesn't look like it's off to a very great start. I think for me to say it's Gaza or something else at this time, I think I'd need a few more days to see where this peace thing is going. I think that's very tenuous, and regardless of the fact that there's peace in Gaza, if this is relating to that at all, it's maybe saying that, hey, great that you got this started, but it's like too little too late. How many people had to die for us to get to this point?
In general, I think this is more about peace in the world, peace on earth. And so I think there's a good overlay with the inauguration kind of ideas here. I don't think it's specifically about Gaza or anywhere else that's a huge trouble spot. I think it's in general saying that a lot of people thought we were making growth towards something, and now they don't feel that. Other people, or the same people, may be feeling like they're don't care anymore, and it doesn't matter what choices they make.
So how is that making us unhappy? Because other people what? Number two?
Well, how are we dealing with it is by making bad choices, by not making good choices.
Thank you.
Sorry.
I don't know what you were saying, and then I mixed it up.
I said it better the first time.
And I didn't say it very well. So,
I actually have a little bit of a headache going on all of a sudden.
Well, I'm so sorry.
No, it's
so
okay.
How are we dealing with this unhappiness is basically, we're not doing well. We're not making the appropriate choices. Maybe we're not doing anything. We're not making any choices. We're ambivalent. The point is, though, that whatever we're doing, we're not doing enough. We're not doing something productive and in our best, in the interests of everybody.
We may clearly just be choosing something that's not good at all.
Right. And so, why are our feelings justified? Because we feel the world is a much colder place now. We feel that, a lot of hearts are turning cold to each other. This just could be a period of a lot of icy feelings and relations with one another.
People thought we were moving away from a world that had too much hatred towards a world of love, and now they're not sure.
And so how do we turn this frown upside down? Well, we can't just sit there and keep letting this happen. We have to do something. We have to, as hard as it is, we have to figure out what we can do to turn this around and do it. It's time to take action. It's probably past time to take action, but something has to be done to just say no.
Swords are undertakings, but they also represent knowledge.
Right?
And knowledge is power.
Indeed.
All right.
That's what we have for the world. That's what we have for everybody for this fourth quarter moon period.
It's very interesting.
We'll be back again with another episode of Where Does It Hurt? The Unhappy Hour, when the next fourth quarter moon comes up in February.
About 4 weeks.
About 4 weeks now. So, hang on, everybody. Do what you got to do to turn that frown upside down, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.